Imagine waking up to an angry email from your biggest client. They're blaming you for a costly mistake and threatening legal action. You check your inbox, your contracts, your savings, and realize you might not be covered. In this video, we're going to break down exactly what kinds of insurance for consultants can protect you in situations just like this, so you can make confident, informed decisions about keeping your business safe. So if you're a consultant, whether you're flying solo or you've started building a small team and you want to know what protection actually matters, here's what we'll cover. First, the types of insurance consultants really need, without the extras that don't make sense for your kind of work. Second, how much cover is enough and what that means in real dollars and peace of mind. And finally, what can go wrong if you get it wrong, the hidden risks that could cost you more than you expect. By the end, you'll have a clear picture of how to protect your consulting business properly without wasting time or money. Before we start, a quick note: I'm an insurance broker and not a financial advisor or lawyer. The information in this video is general advice only and does not consider your personal circumstances, goals, or needs. You must talk to a qualified insurance broker or financial advisor and potentially a legal professional to get advice that's specific to your business. Now, most consultants think their contracts protect them, but here's the thing: contracts are written to manage expectations and not to eliminate risk. They're like seatbelts in a car. They can save you from serious harm, but they don't stop the crash from actually happening. A client can still make a claim and you'll still have to defend it. That's why insurance isn't about distrust. It's about protection from the unexpected. Every consulting business looks a little different. Some are solo operators, others have growing teams or multiple clients across various industries. So not every type of insurance will apply to everyone. What's important here is understanding what's essential versus what is situational. The first one on this list, professional indemnity, is a must-have for almost every consultant. The rest, they depend on how you work, where you work, and the kind of clients you deal with. Here's how it breaks down. All right, let's start with the big one, professional indemnity. This is a non-negotiable if you're a consultant. Here's the deal. As a consultant, your entire business is built on your advice, your judgment, your recommendations, your expertise. That's what clients pay you for. But if something goes wrong, or even if a client just believes that your advice caused them a loss, well, you could be held responsible. Professional indemnity, or PI cover, is what steps in when that happens. It protects you against claims of mistakes, negligence, or poor advice. And it covers the legal defense cost that comes with it, which can be massive, even if you've done nothing wrong. Think of it like this: if public liability is the seatbelt, professional indemnity is the airbag. You hope you never need it, but when you do, you'll be glad that it's there. Let me give you some examples just to illustrate this. Say you're a marketing consultant and you recommend a new campaign strategy that doesn't perform. The client blames you for lost revenue. Or maybe you're a management consultant and a restructure that you advised on leads to a drop in performance, even though you followed best practice. Or maybe you're an IT consultant and something you implemented is later blamed for a data loss or a system outage. In every one of these cases, the client could make a claim. You'll need to defend yourself, and that defense can easily cost tens of thousands before you've even proven that you weren't at fault. That's exactly what PI covers. Here's something important to consider as well. Most client contracts require it. They don't even sign you on without it. Minimum limits usually start around $1 to $2 million, but if you're working with larger corporates or governments, then expect that number to go higher. Ultimately, professional indemnity is that solid foundation beneath your professional reputation. It allows you to operate with full confidence, knowing that one unforeseen mistake or single client dispute won't destroy the business that you've worked so hard and years to build. Next up, public liability. Now, this is what I like to call your everyday cover. But let's be real, your need for it depends heavily on your physical exposure. Here's how it works. This protects you if you accidentally cause injury or property damage while you're working. So it's not about your advice, it's about your presence. Think about what happens when you're out in the real world while you're doing your thing. So say you're running a live workshop, someone trips over your laptop cable and they get hurt. Or you're hosting an event and one of your banners takes out a glass. Things like this can happen. Or even a client meeting offsite. If something gets damaged and they pin it back on you, this is the cover that will step in. Now, for most consultants working remotely or online, you probably don't need it. But if you're doing events, say site visits or anything that's face-to-face, it's a smart one to have. And some places, think venues, landlords, or big corporate clients, they actually will require it before you can run a session on site. Now, cover limits here are usually 10 to $20 million, but again, that depends on what you're doing and where. The good news is not that expensive in the context of a consultant. It's one of those more affordable covers out there because it really is designed for those less likely just in case moments. Ultimately, this cover boils down to practical risk management. If your work involves physically being on a client's premises, running workshops or visiting sites, then PL ensures that a random expensive accident doesn't derail the professional work that you were there to deliver. All right, now let's talk about the modern risk, cyber liability or cyber insurance. This one's becoming more and more important because let's face it, everything we do now lives online. Emails, client documents, strategy decks, financials, it's all digital. And it only takes one thing to go wrong. One dodgy link in an email, one hacked inbox, one file sent to the wrong person. That's all it takes for a serious problem to unfold. Cyber liability cover is there to help when that happens. It can cover the investigation, data recovery, and even notifying affected clients if sensitive information gets out. Some policies even go so far as public relations and crisis management to help protect your reputation while you sort it all out. Now, I know what some consultants are thinking, but I'm not a tech business. Here's the thing. If you store client information, even something as simple as names, strategies, or emails, you're holding data that's valuable. And if that gets compromised, well, you're responsible for it. So this isn't just an IT issue anymore. It's a business reality. Think of cyber liability as your digital disaster recovery plan. What a tongue twister. It's the essential policy that immediately mobilizes the specialists and financial resources needed to contain a breach, ensuring that data compromise doesn't become a reputational and financial disaster that essentially halts your business operations. Now, this next one's for the consultants who are starting to grow. Maybe you've hired your first employee or you've set up a company structure. This is where management liability comes in. Think of it as the next layer of protection, the kind that looks after you as a business owner or director, not just the business itself. It covers things like mismanagement claims, breaches of director duties, and regulatory investigations, the kind of issues that come up once you're running a company and making decisions that affect others. And here's where it gets interesting. Most management liability policies also include something called EPL or employment practices liability. That's what covers claims like unfair dismissal, discrimination, harassment, or workplace disputes. Basically the HR related stuff that can happen once you start employing people. Even if you've only got one or two staff, the risk is real. A misunderstanding, a personality clash, or a perceived unfair process that can escalate fast, and the legal defense costs alone can be brutal. Now, if you work mainly with contractors, there's still some exposure there as well. Things like sham contracting and misclassification risks and contract disputes as well, or maybe fair work investigations if someone challenges how they were engaged. Consider ML, management liability, your director's defense shield. It provides you proactive protection for your corporate conduct, covering the decisions that you make and the way that you manage staff, all bundled into one essential policy. This is one that people don't truly take into account, but these are very real risks and another great cover to have and to even consider. So how much cover do you actually need? Well, it really comes down to balance, protection versus practicality. You want to be covered properly without paying for things that don't make sense for your business. The best place to start is to look at the work that you actually do. Think about the types of clients you work with, the size of your projects, and what could realistically go wrong if something didn't go to plan. Ask yourself some of these questions. If one of my projects went off track, what would it cost to put things right? Or if a client made a claim, how much could the legal defense alone set me back? That'll give you a much clearer sense of what your cover limits should look like. If you work in a regulated industry, there may also be recommended minimum levels of cover set by your professional association, so that's worth checking out as well. And one thing to remember, your insurance should not stay static. As your business grows, your exposure grows as well. Maybe you're taking on larger clients, more responsibility, or higher value projects. Well, your cover needs to evolve with that and also reflect that work too. So instead of asking, what's the cheapest policy I can get? Ask, what level of cover would actually protect me if something went wrong? That's the difference between being covered and being confident. Now let's talk about the part that nobody likes to think about, the cost of getting it wrong. And I don't mean not having insurance. In reality, underinsurance, which is being partly covered but not properly, is way more common than having no insurance at all. Here's what it looks like. A consultant thinks they're covered, but the policy limit's too low or the wording doesn't match what they actually do. Then something happens, a claim, a client dispute, a legal letter, and suddenly the insurer says, sorry, that's not included. It's a horrible position to be in, and it happens more more often than people realize. And honestly, the biggest cost usually isn't the payout of the claim itself, it's the stress, the time, the distraction of dealing with it. The emails, the lawyers, the back and forth, the sleepless nights, wondering if your business is about to take a hit. All of that can take months to sort out, and that's before you even get to the financial side. A small difference in premium upfront, literally a few $100s in some cases, can save you tens of thousands later when something does go wrong, if something does go wrong. So the lesson here, don't just be insured, be properly insured. So now you know what to look for, the type of insurance that actually protects consultants, and how to tell what's essential for your business. But here's the next challenge. How do you actually get covered? And how do you know you're not paying for things that you don't need? Well, the truth is the broker you choose makes all the difference. A good broker can tailor your cover to your business, cut through the jargon, and make sure that if something does go wrong, your claim stands up when it counts. Now remember, my goal here is to help you understand your risks. This is general information and not a recommendation to buy or drop any specific policy. Always consult a qualified insurance professional and a lawyer for contractual matters to make sure that you tailor your coverage to your unique business. That's exactly what I do at Tank Insurance, helping consultants get fit for purpose cover that evolves with their business. So if you'd like someone to review your setup or make sure your protection actually fits how you work, reach out. I'd be happy to help you get it right.